Yes, we're back again. It's the Boys on the Bus. It's an episode of TIC Talking for the third year in a row. It's myself and David. We're here. I'm getting a sense of deja vu already, David. Is it going to be another busted flush, another damp squib for you and I? Because I say the last 2 years that we've done this show, previously on the Boise Bus and now tonight, it's been a bit of a quiet night. So maybe, just maybe for time's a charm. I've got my doubts already though, mate.
Aye, well, I'm starting to wonder if it's our fault because the only time we haven't done this was the window where we signed Carter Vickers and Jota on deadline day. So I'm starting to wonder if we're playing a part in this whole shambles that is Celtic transfer window on deadline day.
Perhaps we are the the unlucky charm, essentially. Yeah, we're the ones that are bringing we're the ones that are causing it to crash. But yes, we are still here regardless. We are gluttons for punishment, and we thought, well, why break tradition? So yeah, for the third year in a row, it's deadline night for us, and yeah, we're here through to as close to the deadline as possible. Obviously, I was live yesterday doing the quite incredible 2-hour post-match, which was astounding when you think about it, given absolutely hee-haw happened in that game. But we still managed to pull out a 2-hour post-match, and it was live on air that I actually found out it's an 11 o'clock deadline tonight. I thought it was 7 o'clock. In my head, I was already mentally prepared for 7 o'clock. That's no bad. We can get on, do a show early evening, get it finished, still get the rest of the night ahead of me. No, here we are. Celtic have got us waiting, heading up to 11 o'clock. Oh, the life of a Celtic fan. But anyway, before we go any further, first things first, it is of course deadline night. And as we've done in the past years, the aesthetics have to be changed here. So first things first, I think, David, we need to change the background, obviously. Those guys were used to do it, of course. We're both wearing yellow. We're not doing the yellow ties, but we are wearing yellow anyway.
Sending a message to the board.
We are
sending a message to the board.
The colour scheme needs to be changed as well. So there we go. We've now got the yellow tickers as well. And of course, our news ticker at the bottom. David, you have prepared this earlier on. We've also got a little recap in case you needed reminding of Celtic's activity up to now. And it's it's not made great reading at all over the window. We've talked about it constantly. We've went over it so much. And I expect we'll be looking at it again closely tonight because, right now we are in quite the position, Mr. Logue, and we've had, I was going to say we've had all day to sort it, but no, we've had 77 days to sort it. I believe saw a tweet today saying the window opened 77 days ago, and here we are on the final night in the final couple of hours, and we're still waiting. We heard from Brendan Rodgers yesterday about the Adam Idah transfer. I know many fans are obviously happy to see the back of Idah, but obviously Brendan Rodgers being the manager, he would kind of like to keep his players and have at least replacements in the door before then. And he did say that, we're not going to authorise anything before we let him go. And that's now official. He is now away to Swansea, and here we are still waiting for a striker. But of course, you could argue, David, that we've been waiting on a striker since January because obviously Kyogo was sold back then, and we're still waiting for that as well. It's not like the manager has brought up Kyogo's name a couple of times in this window, isn't it? It's he's kind of been signposting on what we need.
It's very concerning now that I know Adam Idah has not been the flavour of anyone, the flavour of the month for anybody since the start of the season. But we have lost a player that did score 20 goals last season. He's now away. He was going to be the successor to Kyogo, and then we were going to get the replacement, and that was what we were told. And then that's not happened. We've been told that Adam Idah would not go to Swansea unless Brendan Rodgers had confirmed there was going to be a replacement coming in, and two of those replacements have opted to go elsewhere. So either Rodgers has been talking shite and he knows fine well that Idah was going to go to Swansea regardless, and what will be, or he has been stunned by the news this evening and tonight now of the two potential replacements have chose to go to Charlton for the boy who was going to come in because Dolberg has had his head turned at the last minute to go back to his, I think it was his the club that he made his debut as professional in. I think he was only like
He was
18 or
young,
something.
he played against us in 2015-16 season. He was a youngster at Ajax, 17 or something like that, and the team that Ronnie Dyler played in Ronnie's second season. We had Fenerbahce, Ajax, and Mulder. Yeah, he was in that Ajax squad that played against us.
Now, from what I've seen so far, Phil, there's been no update on Dolberg's move to Ajax, but I have seen that Sunderland have confirmed the signing of Bromby, who is obviously that was Ajax's striker, who they are now looking to replace. So it's only probably a matter of time now until that happens. The Charlton, I mean, I wasn't overly excited about the boy that for Chelsea, Fofana coming in anyway, if I'm being honest. But I'd kind of accepted that looks like that's who it's going to be. So kind of got over that initial disappointment, tried to find reasons as to why it was a positive. Convinced myself it was a positive to be told that at the last minute he's chose to go to Charlton of all clubs over us. So reason to that, what you will. But
don't laugh, you'll cry, mate.
Even after the 7 p.m. cut-off, they still managed to lose out to that because of the transfer sheet agreement that they have now, where you can still, so long as the paperwork is done in between 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock with all the players' assignments agreements. Okay, so that means that from 5 o'clock at the earliest, that boy has signed paperwork to go to Charlton, and we're finding out at 9:15 that he's he's choosing to go there instead. So that baffles me. Like this board have outdone them. I almost want to applaud them at how well they've managed to outdo themselves, because I didn't think it was fucking possible, but apparently it is. Mr. Nicholson, well done at being amazingly shit at your job. Because what else can you say? You can only applaud. It's impressive. It's actually impressive, Phil.
No, definitely. Anne Wood's come in saying heads should roll, but they won't. And that is the most infuriating thing. Yesterday, the end of the post-match, Terry wanted to have that as a talking point about is a backsacking crack. If you didn't watch it, that might be a bit of a context, but I did quite like his caption for it. So, the different connotations to it. But it was like, what do we do in all this whole sack the board thing? What exactly do we do? And that's the problem. It's like, you've got to starve them with the money supply. It's going to involve boycotts and whatnot. And I think a lot of fans just, deep down have that fear that by doing that, it's going to be detrimental to the team. But to be fair, you could argue that the way the board, the hierarchy have performed with the way that they've, transfer dealings and whatnot, then they've been detrimental to the team on the park. So that's also a problem. And it's that fear that, you let Rangers back into to win the title, and so there's all that. And again, we discussed that a wee bit yesterday, and we could probably do a whole podcast on all that. But yeah, it's scunnered, I guess, is the best word to use. It's just absolutely scunnered about it. There has to be after this. There has to be some kind of protests. Now, the next home game isn't until the end of September, and I think if the Celtic board think that we've got a wee bit on there, it's a good month away before we need to face up to them. I think when they go to Rugby Park on the next game, which is an away one, I think the away fans, who are usually a lot more vocal than the home support, because Celtic Park at times can be a bit quiet. I think the away fans will let them know that day exactly how they feel about it. I think there will be definitely some sort of banner display, because obviously the Green Brigade and Bhoys Celtic, the supporters, the ultras groups, they go to all the away games. I don't think they're going to go quietly. And even if something does happen late on, we are expecting the boy from Hammerby. That's the only sort of positive story that's came out today. And even at that, is it a positive? We looked at his stats. I mean, is it? That's probably the best of the action we're going to see tonight. Regardless of that, I think when that Kilmarnock game comes around, they better have the flame shields up, because I think that away support will let them know for 90 minutes exactly what they think of their performance.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I'm overly excited about this guy at all. Especially when you look at the price tag that these. Now, you always have to take it with a pinch of salt. What these market values are online. But let's just say, for sake of argument, it's Fat Joe. It's 1.5 million as the going rate for a player of his quality and where we're getting him from and stuff. But yet we're having to pay 5.5 million for this guy because we weren't willing to just pay that money for the guy that we actually wanted. And is it Bruin? Is that how you pronounce his name?
Jacob Broom or Brem or something like that from Go Ahead Eagles. Yeah.
That was who we wanted 3 weeks ago. And we penny pinched and we're told to bolt. So rather than just paying the fee for the player that we wanted, we've now having to pay 5 times the amount of the valuation of this boy, for this Tunisian international, two caps by the way. Who, listen, I'm not going to write him off because we don't. He might turn out to be a great signing for Celtic. And however, the optics right now is it's very much panic stations, panic buy, and we've just. And looks like this is all we're going to get, Phil. And it's maddening. And obviously, yeah, I think you're right. I think obviously the boys and girls that are going to go to the away games, yeah, they will use their voice and hopefully in their creativity with their banners to show their disgust and of what we've seen this transfer window. And I'm not one for saying this very often, but when it comes to the home games, I think especially the Europa League games, and it's easy for me to say when I don't get to the games very often. But the biggest voice that you have is your wallet, and I think that's maybe where it's coming down to now. And I mean, I say that I don't say that lightly because as somebody that doesn't get to Celtic Park very often, I shouldn't. It shouldn't really be for me to say, "Oh, you shouldn't go to these games," because, quite frankly, I would love to be able to go to more games, but I think a lot of people will probably be in agreement that maybe that's where we're having to go now. To you ain't getting any more of our money just to line your pockets with, because that's the optics. It looks very much like that's what's been happening. We have decimated the squad that, the clips have been coming up today, Phil, like how that 3-0 victory only a year ago, we absolutely decimated, really amazing, fast-flowing, attacking football. The first goal that was scored in that game was created by bombing down that right-hand side with Nicholas Kuhn, crossing that ball into Kyogo, and we've lost those two guys since January, and they've not been replaced, and we've just allowed our number one striker, regardless of his form, that we paid and chased £9 million for last year to go, and there appears to be no striker coming in. I've just read a second ago that some 19-year-old for Brighton.
So that as well. I think I've got it starred further up.
Sorry, on you go.
I was going to say the comment I've got up just now. See, I've wondered if this is their plan with their thinking in the striker thing about being Maeda through the middle, and it's like, well, Maeda through the middle right now hasn't been working neither. There's obviously a lot of problems in the final third, but also AG Tech says that look, wingers in and Maeda gets to carry the centre forward duties until January. It's corporate negligence, and it feels like Mowbray days. It does a wee bit actually. That's a shout. But let's sort of go mental. But yeah, Maeda through the middle. I mean, on his current form, we need more than that. And I still argue that he's more effective out wide. I think last season, yeah, he did very well when he slotted in at centre forward for a lot of games, and particularly the second half of the season after Kyogo left and Adam Idah wasn't really taking his opportunity. But most of his numbers all came in the first half of the season when he was playing out wide, David. So I think he's, I think for what we've got available to us, I would still rather have him on the left side. But yeah, again, Idah away, Kyogo away months ago, and yeah, it just baffles me that they have just neglected that one position, the forward one. In terms of the name as well, hold on, I'll try and find it. That is the name that you're thinking of, Stefanos. And I'm going to assume that the T is probably silent, so it's going to be like Zimas, I think it's pronounced, on loan. A Greek striker, 19-year-old from Brighton. I went and looked it up on Wikipedia. He only signed for Brighton this summer, so he's not actually played a game for Brighton yet. And they've only signed him from Hanover, I believe it was, in the Bundesliga. And yeah, to get him some first team experience and a wee shot at playing in European football, they're happy to send him on loan to Celtic. Apparently, is the talk. And again, it doesn't really fill you with much confidence at all. 19-year-old striker from Brighton. No feeling that one, David.
No, and they can spin it however way they want. This is the third choice. That is the third down the list then of strikers in one day. Like, this guy might be brilliant. He might be amazing. I don't know. Like a lot of people are saying he was bought for 20 million. Well, that Max Aarons is bought for 20 million at Bournemouth, and the guy's stinking. So
yeah, true.
20 million gets you fuck all these days. Like, fuck all. 20 million gets you nothing. Like, in terms of quality. Like, the way the market is, it's so hard to judge like a player on valuation now. Like, 19-year-olds getting signed for 20 million. Aye, so what?
Still, the golf probably accurate there, saying the 19-year-old Brighton boy will probably choose Lincoln City ahead of us.
Yeah, well, my dad will be happy with that. He can go watch them doing a Lincoln.
That's good. Every close got a silver lining there of that one. So that might be what happens with that one. But yeah, in terms of if things are breaking on Twitter, of course, because we can't obviously see Twitter right now, then obviously let us know in the comments. I did see somebody say earlier on Simon Murray inbound, but no, none of that, please. But then again, at this stage, would you even be surprised? Oh, God. I think somebody did a Photoshop of that earlier on, and it was like Simon Murray. Oh, dearie me. Again, don't laugh, you'll greet. But
Stephen Ray's right though, Phil. Like you said in the comments there, that like Brighton do have a track record of not buying bad players. Like
true,
that,
actually, yeah,
that is true. Weird one that, because he owns Hearts now. Like weird one that he's never done any sort of deals with Hearts and Brighton. But one of my clients has got a lot to do with Hearts, and he was telling me that they've actually, despite him owning both the clubs, they're almost like it's like two separate things completely. Like they won't be like, oh right, we'll just give all our players to Hearts to out on loan or anything like that. So I guess that's why.
That comment
Tony
there
Bloom
from
and his
Sugarman says that Z-Man's would score for fun. Tony Bloom won't send us a striker because we're in a Hearts just now, apparently.
Well, yeah, because he's pretty much giving it big licks that he's going to win the league and stuff like that in the next 10 years. But I wouldn't put it past him, by the way. He's got some track record. Like, he owns that club that had won the league where Graham Potter was in charge, and they had only been, they were down in the league before, the league below. And after like how many years of owning that club, he managed to do it. And then he's got Brighton competing. And the guy did make a good point that everybody in the Premier League are copying his methods, his in terms of trading model. They're all copying his trading model. So like, I'm not going to raise an eyebrow too much about his comments. He might be onto something, that guy. Yeah. So yeah, he might not be sending us a striker, or if he wants to get Hearts to be winning the league in the near future.
I know people some folks are obviously looking at the way this season's panning out already and genuinely saying that if Hearts genuinely think they can win the league, then they probably won't have a better chance than the way both Celtic and Rangers are playing right now. Let's have a look at some other comments. Punch McNugget, don't disagree with this at all, because it's literally the truth. We're even weaker than yesterday. Because obviously Adam Eder's away now, regardless of how piss poor Adam Eder's been for the first month of the season. He's gone now. But David, a player that was meant to leave today, and of course it didn't quite materialise. Yang is still in the building, mate. The Yang gang lives on, it seems. Bit of a farce, that one. He was linked with a few moves earlier in the window to teams like Norwich and Swansea. Nothing materialised there. Then we had the whole fiasco about Yang and Tilio couldn't leave at the time because we needed some wingers in. Eventually, Tilio got the green light to go to Rapid Vienna. But Yang, travelled down to Birmingham, and he did whatever paperwork he needed to do. And the deal collapsed, and Yang is now on his way back. We heard a rumour as well that as a result of that, the Celtic were in negotiations with a player from Burnley, a winger from there, but they've had to pull the plug on that because, hey, don't worry, Yang's back. Well, absolutely fine, guys. But I also did see a story as well that Ghent, not Genk, and we'll talk about Genk in a moment because there's a former player of ours that's been causing some serious headlines from that one, by Ghent from Belgium. apparently interested in Yang, and they've got until September the 8th because the Belgian window hasn't closed yet. It's still got another week to go. So Yang might still leave. But yeah, he might be looking at what O did in Belgium, a very similar named team, Genk, because astounding scenes there. 28 million euros to VfB Stuttgart. I think you said something about a year and a half ago about Osei. He'll be one of these guys that will transfer for a stupid amount of money one day, and you were spot on, mate.
I was, but not because he's a brilliant player, just because like you scored half a dozen goals in a league like that. For some reason, these clubs managed to get crazy valuations for their players. Like, did O get a chance at Celtic? Some might argue I don't know if he got a real good crack at the whip, but I mean, he didn't show enough that anybody was really screaming to say no, we need to keep this guy. Although I did read that he failed a medical, so he's been sent back to Belgium. So that deal's off. Believe it or not.
Okay.
So I don't know what he failed his medical on, but yeah. Sometimes I wonder about the medicals. What could it possibly have been? Like, he'll go back and probably score and play just fine back at Genk if he doesn't get the move. But yeah,
he's got a game coming up against Rangers very soon. If he's still at Genk, they're playing Rangers in the Europa League first round of fixtures in a few weeks' time. So keep your eye on that one if he's still at Genk.
Maybe that's why he failed the medical deliberately, because he wanted to have one more shot at having a go at them. Maybe. I mean,
maybe we'll get more shots on
Stuttgart
than we did because we couldn't muster up a thing. Oh, shocking!
Is that our Terry?
Aye, it is indeed. Terry. He's just looking for a fix. He's just looking for something concrete. David,
get on the screen. What are you doing?
I know. But yeah, the Yang stuff. Say for a few people in the chat, because of Stephen Green Taylor on the Yang coming back. I'll try and find the comment. There it is. Yang coming back is worse than losing out on Dolberg to Ajax, and yeah, that's how fans are feeling right now. Because when I did see that Ida and Yang were even, obviously, yeah, it does technically make us weaker because we're losing numbers and we ain't exactly moving very quickly here, David, to improve them. But either way, it's still options, it's still numbers, and that's what Brendan was obviously harping on about. But yeah, to then see his collapse and came back. And the thing is, from a mental standpoint for a player like Yang, how's he going to feel? Because he's kind of been told that, you can go, you're free to go. Essentially, the message to him is, we don't really need you anymore. And now he's got to come back. And he's going to end up being in a position now where we're going to have to rely on him at some point. There's going to be injuries or something. It's a long run now, a lot of fixtures to come between now and January when the next transfer window opens. The only thing that I say can change it is maybe a team like a Belgian side, as he's linked with. Maybe they snap him up before their window closes. I know there's other countries like Turkey. They've got a window that runs longer, but as it stands right now, yeah, you know that Yang's going to be in a position at some point where Brendan's going to have to turn to him and be like, oh, I need you to, play in this game, or needs to throw him on, maybe try and dig us out. And it's like, from a player point of view, what does it, you've been told by the club essentially that you're not needed anymore, we don't really want you, we're going to try and cash in here, only on all you're back now, well, I guess we need to use you. So it's a bit of an awkward one, really, from the player's point of view as well. Like, where's he mentally if you get things in that position?
Well, I mean, it couldn't get any worse.
Yeah, man, just throw it out there.
I don't think you could play any worse. But no, you're spot on though. Like, you would certainly feel very unwanted. He won't be valued. He won't feel very valued by the club. Therefore, why bother putting in all this effort when he knows that a club like Birmingham do actually want him? Probably end up doing all right for them. I might just be a Birmingham fan for the rest of the season because half our team's doing there anyway.
Yeah, well, Patrick McGowan said Patrick Roberts on loan will be the next one. Well, funny you should mention Patrick Roberts because he has went on loan somewhere tonight, and it is Birmingham City, so there'll be no links of Patrick Roberts. Another, would you take Patrick Roberts back at Celtic? No, he's waiting Birmingham, and as you say, David, they've got about half of our old team down there anyway now, as it stands. So, but yeah, that's where he's ended up tonight. So it's interesting you brought his name up there.
Our old coach is managing them as well, isn't he? So
as Chris Davis, aye.
Yeah,
so,
indeed. Yeah. We're going to end up with Lyndon Dykes on loan, aren't we? Like he's going to
hijacking Hibs move for Lyndon Dykes.
Is he going to Hibs?
Hibs are negotiating a loan deal for Lyndon Dykes. Yeah, imagine that. Imagine we hijack. Well, there's a name, but I know there's nothing concrete about this. But there's a name that's came up a few times. Kieran Bowie. Like to me, that one is. I mean, from what I've seen of him so far, he looks like he's got something about him. You know a wee bit more about him than me, though. But again, he's looked like he's impressive from the times I've seen him. And again, we're always talking about young Scottish talent, and making sure that we've got like a strong Scottish core again for the UEFA squads and whatnot. But he looks like he could probably do a job. But again, it's like these players are better those. We saw with Lennon Miller. Did Celtic move for him? Obviously, did the boy want to just go abroad? Fair enough if he did. And of course, we go back to John McGinn years ago. That's another one. But Kieran Bowie is a name that a lot of fans have been throwing around this window. I think at this stage, with the way things are, I would have definitely taken him at this stage, mate. But no, that is not going to happen now. No chance. No.
Nah, not now. I don't think Hibs should allow that. So Kieran Bowie's a funny one because he actually played for one of the local youth community teams or whatever in Glenrothes. So he played for Glenrothes Strollers as a youth player, and he wasn't really considered as one of their better players at that age group. And he got, I don't know if it was Fife Elite at the time, it took him on, and he ended up at Wraith Rovers. And then I don't actually think he played that many games for Wraith's first team, but he got the move at I think 17 to Fulham, and never heard anything of him for a couple of years. And next thing you know, he'd been signed by Hibs. So I didn't really think much was going to like. It was one of those. It was almost like when Scott Allen was at Dundee United, and he played a couple of games, and then he got that move down south as well, and ended up back up here. So when I seen that he'd been signed by Hibs, I didn't really think much of it. I just go, it was very unlikely to feature for Fulham when he moved down there anyway. But Fulham have a good track record at their academy and stuff. So he's done all right, and the move to Hibs has been good for him. Big, strong, looks quick. I mean, that wonder goal he scored is definitely what's put him, I think, in people's sort of in their shopping trolley a wee bit. Whether he's Celtic quality, I think we'd maybe need to give him a couple more years before we could really make that decision. I think even for his, I think he's like, what, 20, 21, 22? I don't think he's...
No, he's a bit older than that. I was saying that to Terry yesterday. We'll talk about it. It's another one, like, because again, I mean, I said it on screen the other day. I was like, I'm quite bad for paying attention to things outside the Celtic and
Rangers.
22
years old. He's
22. Okay, he's in that. Okay, it's not too bad then. I thought he was sort of a wee bit older than that. Right, fair enough. That's actually good. But that goal you're talking about, was it against Partizan? Oh, screamer, absolute screamer. But no,
I was belter. Bit of luck in there, I think, as well. Like, but
a few people are saying in the chat maybe he could do another season at Hibs and whatnot. That may very well be the case, but he's definitely one to sort of keep an eye on. But after what we saw, say, with the Lennon Miller stuff this year, will Celtic even inquire about that? And maybe Bowie himself will do what Miller did, and when he gets to a point where he wants to leave Hibs, he'll look at what Scottish players are doing abroad and be like, oh, I fancy that, because they're doing not too bad. But I've got a comment started here, David, and I think it is the elephant in the room about Brendan Rodgers. So Jason Richardson said this, and obviously a lot of people are talking about this and the next step and what happens if nothing happens essentially tonight, which is pretty much going that way. It's going to be a very, very quiet finish, it looks like. Wouldn't blame Rodgers for walking. where are you on this one regarding Brendan and the things that have been said by him, where he seems to be a bit bipolar? 1 minute he's being a bit critical of the board, and it seems like he's trying to send a message. Then the next minute, last week, he's coming out and saying, "Oh, I see all these stories about a disconnect between me and Mike." He also calls him Mike, doesn't he? And Peter, and there's no disconnect, and assuring us it's all good, and they're good Celtic men, and they want what's best for them. They want Celtic to be the very best they can be. But of course, the eye test to all of us suggests very different. What comes out of Brendan's mouth does not quite compute with what we're seeing happening in front of our eyes. But then you'll get like a really scunnered Brendan Rodgers, like his post-match yesterday after the game. And other than the fact that the game was terrible and that probably drained him as well, but he's knowing that, well, is things going to improve in the next 24 hours? Am I going to get the players in that I need? And a lot of fans are saying that they wouldn't blame him if he walked, despite what happened the last time. And obviously he walked, and there was a lot of anger around that. I don't think they'd blame him. And a lot of fans are saying that he should, just out of principle alone. Where are you on this one, David, with Brendan Rodgers? And if this window closes and within the next few days we get word that Brendan Rodgers has resigned, how would you be feeling about all that?
I mean, we know Brendan's a bit of a egomaniac and obviously likes, the narrative to be kind of around keeping him looking good in people's eyes, and he will be feeling. I think he'll be quite embarrassed by what's happened. I mean, he's put his neck out there by the comments that he made yesterday. So they've made him look a bit of a fool if this is all we're going to end up after this window. I mean, we have written on our changing room walls like world-class basics or something like that.
Yeah, we do. So we do, aye.
And we can't even do just basic. Like, we can't even do that well. I think he'll be scunnered because it doesn't. I remember when obviously Leicester were struggling to sign players because of obviously the financial situation had been hit really bad with like the COVID situation, and obviously the death of the owner and stuff probably played a bit of a part in that. But like I think he kind of came out swinging and passed the blame on. It's not his fault. The way the club's been run and the way the form of Leicester was at the time, and then obviously ultimately they were relegated. It was quite scathing at that. This club doesn't have a COVID situation restricting transfers. We haven't lost the owner in a helicopter crash outside the stadium. There's none of these crazy, genuine good reasons as to why money hasn't been spent this window. So, of course, Rodgers, I think he's put his neck on the line yesterday for the board to reassure us that there's no disconnect between him and the board, despite clear optics as you're clearly butting heads somewhere. I wouldn't be surprised if he walked tomorrow. I wouldn't blame him. The only thing that's probably keeping him here is the comments that he probably should not have made, that he would see out his contract. It's the only reason I think if he doesn't walk tomorrow, that's the only reason. Because I'm sure as shit he'd be sitting there going, listen, I've got plenty of EPL clubs that I could, or EFL clubs or Saudi clubs, whatever, like that would definitely take him. This myth that English clubs don't rate Brendan Rodgers, I don't buy. I think a Nottingham Forest would happily take a Brendan Rodgers or a West Ham. Like a level of that club, and he knows it too. And the only, like I said, the only reason he's not going to walk tomorrow would be because of the promises made to his fans who have been let down enough this this season so far by just complete negligence. And I think that's the only reason that he won't walk. But I wouldn't blame him, Phil. Quite frankly, I wouldn't blame him. I don't even know how I'd feel about him going full stop anyway. I'm kind of, there's a lot of people I think will agree that the state of the not only the board's dealings, but even the way the manager set up the team in the last 4 games, and I know he's got to work with what he's got, but there's still plenty of good players in that squad, but it's not suiting the way that the way that he wants to play isn't suiting them at the minute.
Well, that's the thing. He's coming out with quotes saying that, like the game plan yesterday just defaulted into was pass it back to Kasper Schmeichel as much as possible. He says something like, that's not how I want to say out the team. And it's like, well, what you've done, Brendan, by saying that is you've either thrown the players under the bus and told all of us that they're not doing what you want them to do. A bit similar to first game of the season there. Russell Martin obviously got called out for the comments he made after they drew with Motherwell. And he made it clear about, I've got two players out there that are going around doing whatever they want to do. But this time, Brendan's came out and said that the whole team are not doing what he wants them to do. So that's either he's revealing that they are just going completely against him, or he's just completely lying, because we've seen this before. We've seen this style of play before. It's nothing new. When he came back in his first season, it was quite slow and plodding. In the second half of that season, when we had to really pull ourselves together in the title race, we managed to do it. And then we started last season fantastically. And then the second half of last season, probably after the Bayern game, many people point to that. It just felt a bit flat, even though, there was still a few good performances in there. We went and beat Dundee United 5-0, beat St Mirren, I think 5-2 or something like that. There was a few games that we did rattle some folk. And you felt like, okay, well, maybe it's picked up again. But then, of course, you get that absolutely horrendous cup final performance, and less said about that, the better. And then this season has just started exactly like that. You thought, okay, they went away for pre-season. We definitely needed the end of the season there. We just needed it to be over, and you thought they would come back, but they've came back in this first month, and it's been, the last few games in particular. The Kairat games and that Rangers game yesterday were three of the worst games of football any of us have ever watched, and it was 3 games in the space of 10 days. They weren't even spaced out like months apart or years apart. They were literally within a week and a half. Unbelievable. Quick shout out as well to Christopher Roundtree, who I actually know personally. He became a member. Thank you very much. In these dull times, thank you for becoming a member and getting that wee Celtic scarf next year as well. And also a shout out as well to the people in the chat who are trying to keep the spirits up with a bit of the banter tonight with some of the names that are coming up. With Lincoln is saying, like, I've seen Diamansi Kamara's name spotted. Diamansi Kamara, do you remember him at all, David, from Tony Mowbray season? The striker did the celebration like that when he scored. His name, I've seen Amido Baldi's name as well in the chat tonight. God, Amido Baldi, that's right. I would take Amido Baldi too. I was at Rugby Park when he scored that brilliant goal. I think we beat them 5-2 that day. And the scenes when he scored, and I think every fan at that point, so it was still early in the season, I just thought, this guy's going to be fucking incredible. He's going to be great. How wrong we were. Amido Baldi.
Do you remember when he signed for? I remember. I don't know why it sticks in my head perfectly, but I remember he said, "I will make you forget all about Gary Hooper." I remember he said that. The latest name that has been rumoured in the last 25 minutes is Iheanacho. Once again, we've been linked with Iheanacho that he was at Leicester. He's currently playing in Spain at the minute. He was at Middlesbrough. Remember when we were apparently linked with him last year? End up at Middlesbrough, but he's been playing at Sevilla. But he's got 1 year left that he's on his contract at Sevilla, and the La Liga side won't stand in his way to find another club. So,
okay.
That'll
be him choosing Swansea or something over us then, the way things are going. Oh, we've got another new member. Another person I know personally. That's unbelievable.
We're doing more deals in Celtic right now.
We are. We're getting over the line. Players. This is how you do it, Celtic. Michael Nicholson, give me a call. I'll tell you how to do it.
Scarf. Just give. Look, you can get a scarf to hold above your head.
Exactly. I mean, that's it. It's all sorted. You get access to a few extra. So thank you, James Curry, as well. This is fantastic. All becoming members. So thank you very much. Oh God, what's Kazim Richards up to? There's another name as well. Jesus Christ, Skepovic. I see the names that are coming out of the woodwork tonight. Oh, it's absolutely brutal. But yeah, see, just now we're still waiting for the confirmation regarding the boy from Hammarby. See, the last we heard about that, I mean, that has been a wild transfer saga in the space of like a couple of days, given that how transfer sagas usually drag on for the entire window. This one's been a microcosm in just a matter of days. Where 1 minute it's been, that was Iheanacho, that was the guy. And then, like 1 minute it's not happening, then it is, and then see, the last we heard about 5 o'clock tonight was that Hammarby have accepted a deal of about 5.2 million. As you said earlier on, his stats don't really fill you with confidence, and some people have pointed out as well, David, he's a left winger, so the right wing is still kind of glaring. I know I said earlier on, but don't worry, guys, Yang is back. Is Balakisha going to play on the right? I know there was stories about when he joined that he can't, or he has been deployed on the right hand side a few times as well. It's the only thing that I can see if this boy comes in from Hammarby. That's the only thing I can see with fitting the wings in. If it's Maeda through the middle, which again I'm not a huge advocate for, but at the moment with the way the squad is, that might be what has to happen if we don't come away with any sort of forward options tonight. Because right now it's Shin Yamada, who's totally unproven. There's a bit of rawness there. You can see he's got something in terms of like his movement, and his pace is obviously going to be an asset, but there's still a lot of refinement there. Johnny Kenny, I just don't think it's ever going to really take off for Johnny Kenny. And Callum Osmond, who is very much a project signing, so that's literally a out and out centre forward options now that Adam Meader's away. So that's what it's coming down to. So if we're not signing another striker tonight, literally the best option through the middle would actually be an out of form Dyson Maeda. That's where we're at right now. But yeah, in terms of this boy coming from Hammarby, if he does, then I say the only thing I can see is he would be left wing, and it would be Balakisha on the right wing, David.
Yeah, I hate to bring this up, but you know what? The equivalent of what we're seeing up front is, remember when Lenny couldn't figure out who his goalkeeper was, and he kept going between and he who shall not be named and
well, he'll be back at Celtic Park in a few months' time because Utrecht are coming to town. That'll be fun, won't it?
Well, yeah. So you know when and it was like Hazard and who else?
Bain,
who was the other?
The Baniac. Yeah.
You know, it was like they just kept switching. It was like, oh, I don't have a number one goalkeeper. I quite happily switch them around. That's what is happening up front. That's kind of how I feel like where we're at. Like Kenny, I'll probably chip in with a couple of goals against lower opposition, like Livingston. Like he'll be more than probably all right with that. Shin, like you say, he's got this rawness about him that you know that. If I kept questioning, like, where's this pace that we keep getting told about? But like he took off against Rangers and he was dragged down. And I think that was the first time I really seen the pace there. I was like, oh wow, okay, this guy is quick. So hopefully he will be able to use that asset and finally get on the score sheet and hopefully get some confidence going there. And then obviously, yeah, like who's got Maeda, who's out of form, who I actually thought we were going to maybe lose today. I started to worry that when I saw that Newcastle got their man Wisa, that Brentford would come calling at the last minute. But obviously that can't be done now unless, of course, they've signed some player sheet between 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock tonight that they can get that over the line, but hopefully not. But yeah, I don't know who. Yeah, I think you're right though. I don't agree with it. I don't think we should be playing Maeda through the middle. I personally think we lose too much of what he brings on the wing, with the especially with like the tracking back as well. Obviously, like I think Kieran Tierney could have really done with a bit of Dyson's support when he was getting rinsed by Gassama on the weekend there, and finding somebody that's a bit of a more of a natural striker. I know Dyson's played as a striker and he has scored goals for us, but I do feel like he was kind of anything that he touched was just turning to gold last season. I think you could have played him at left back and he would have found the back of the net plenty. It just everything was working for him, but he's kind of reverted back to vintage Dyson and we're getting all the hits, he's playing all the classics, like just banging it out wide, like smashing it over the bar, like having zero composure. So right now, I don't know if Dyson being our number one, like the main guy for the middle right this second is the ideal choice. I think you put him out on the left and you play, I guess you'd put Balakwisha out on the right. He can play across the front three, but predominantly he's a left side. So I think we put him out there, and we either stick with Johnny Kenny or we stick with Shin. I think you have to, if that's going to be our striker options, let's just, for sake of argument, we don't get the striker that we want in tonight. Fingers crossed we do, but let's say we don't. He has to pick which one and give them a run, because you can't just keep going, all right, Shin, you can have a wee shot. Right? I didn't work it. Right, okay, Kenny, you can just gotta get that whole run of games. I think we need to. I know it's a bit of a cliche, and I know some people will say you shouldn't really need a run of games, but I kind of feel like that's where we're at right now, and it's painful. But I think he has to just, because also, like, I might inject a bit of confidence into one of these boys here. Like right now, they're a bit like, all right, I know I'm second fiddle to Adam Eder right now, but now he's away, so what's happening? So hopefully.
Coming on and playing just 10 minutes at the end of a game and whatnot, it's never going to do anything for them. And it may just be a case of, as much as we don't like it and don't agree with it, but if that is literally what we end up with as our options, that's our team through to the January window, essentially. So he's going to have to make it work in some capacity. And it would take them having a run of games. That's the only way you're going to find out about them. But yeah, no, I agree with what James Cow saying. I thought I did think he showed a wee bit of movement there. I mean, there was one very small moment, a fleeting, incident in the game where James Forrest played just a slightly too heavy pass. It was just a little bit beyond Shin, but it was made the sort of right run into the correct channel. The angle was there, and it just eluded him a wee bit. But not only, there was a couple of moments. There's one late on in the game where he held the ball up pretty well and ended up in a bit of a wrestling match with one of the Rangers defenders. And it was like, all he needed was a midfield runner to be making an option for him in the middle, but he quickly realised there was no option and he had to sort of try and do it himself. And I just thought it went nowhere. But no, he should. There's definitely something there, but it's going to take a bit of refinement. But the only way you're going to get that is by him playing games. But
he made a good run, Phil, as well. I think he can make those clever runs. He had a tap in, but I think Shooter beat him to it in the end. It was I think Maeda put he'd beat his man on the wing and put the cross in, and it was, Shin had actually made that run that you want your striker to be at for a tap in, and I think he would have scored it. But obviously Shooter or one of the defenders had just got a toe in front of him,
Well, against Livingston, he was definitely unlucky when you actually look at his performance there, because he did score a goal that was deemed offside, and that was down to Engels being offside in the end in the build-up to it. He had one that just skimmed by the post narrowly. There was a header that Inamura put in a really good cross for, and he got up for a header, and it was a bit too down the middle. Keeper tipped it over for a corner. But again, it was like, he's got a wee bit of movement about him, and he's got something there. But I say it's just going to take a wee bit of work there to get him to his best. But again, the only way you're going to do that is by playing him. And if we're in a position where that is our options, then Brendan's going to have to try and make it work. But in terms of what's going to be curious for me is, if this window looks like it's going to end the way it is, I don't see anything dramatic happening now in the next 41 minutes that is left. No. Do we get any sort of anything from the board at all? Anything from Lawwell or Nicholson? Because I'm thinking back to the COVID season when things were really, really starting to implode after the Dubai trip. And, it wasn't even just, the fans. It was the government were even getting involved in all that stuff as well. And obviously COVID, it's a totally different scenario in that sense. But the board are obviously very aware of the anger right now. And the thing is, if they're going to come out and say something, it has to be through an independent media outlet. It's no good if it's through Celtic TV, where all the questions are controlled by the club and it's Jerry McCulloch sitting answering the questions. I'd like to think that journalists from BBC, STV, Sky, whatever, are hoping to get that sort of sit-down exclusive to ask the Celtic board, what were you thinking? And if not, when it comes to the AGM in November, we've seen incidents in the last couple of years, David, where fans have obviously went to the AGM and have had some things to say, and they've not had a chance to. They've not had a chance because I think last year there was an instance because somebody was live tweeting from the AGM in November, It said that a fan had sort of like asked a question, quite kind of challenging the board on something, and he was asked to leave. I think the year before that was the infamous one where again a fan had sort of had a bit of a sort of challenging question towards him, and Michael Nixon just shrugged his shoulders, laughed, and said, penalty to Rangers. And it's like, that's the type of stuff you're up against. I think it was also a few years back now when Lawwell made the comment about, at the time, Rangers, when they had Morelos, there was a story about them having an unnamed club from China bidding for him. And then I think Lawwell did like a sort of tongue-in-cheek, we had a unnamed club from an unnamed country bidding for Moussa Dembele. And it's like, this is what you're up against. They just play to the gallery. They just make a wee quip about Rangers, and all the guys in the room have a wee laugh about it. And it's like, they don't, it's like they're not taking it seriously. And I'd like to think that the fans that do get the opportunity to go, especially this time, they take the opportunity. But again, there was evidence last year that some people did try to ask them some probing questions and they were removed. They were asked to leave. So how do you get the message through to them? How do you get something out of them, like a proper, like, tell us what your rationale is, tell us what your thinking is here? How do we get it to that stage, David?
It's a good question, Phil, because I think if we knew the answer, we wouldn't be in this position at all. We've had, like you said, we've had plenty of opportunities. We've tried to ask the board this question, and like you say, they just give you a wee joke as a deflection tactic to, well, we're not as shite as Rangers, and we're all like, well, I mean, that's true, like, Guy, the Camden, that Camden. I remember that was quite funny, to be fair. But like, it wasn't the answer that we were looking for.
Exactly, Pedro.
Camden.
No, I will not Camden, Mr. Lowell.
I built on that, to be fair. But no, like like I say, your biggest voice that you'll ever have sits in your back pocket, and that's your wallet.
That's it.
And that's where these guys get their voice from. Their chests all puffed out, they're all cocky, their confidence is sky high because their wallets are full of our cash.
Yep.
And until we stop giving them our cash to pocket, that's when they'll listen. Or they'll check out and go, we need to get out of here because the money's dried up.
Yeah.
And it's easier said than done because we love the club. You don't want that new top comes out. I mean, Mr. Mark Cairney is a perfect example. Absolutely despises some of these football tops that come out. He can't help himself.
I know.
Because it's his club. He loves his club. He doesn't love the people running it.
Yeah.
Like all of us, it's this horrible, crazy relationship that we have, this love-hate relationship, where it's like you absolutely loathe. They put you through the ringer, absolutely raging for 77 days of this window. But I still want to
77 days. It felt
I still want to
that.
buy that football top. I still want to go to the games. I still want to support the club in whatever European competition that we end up in, regardless of how raging that we are, that we're not in the Champions League. We will still turn up in our numbers and support the club. But and that's where it becomes between a rock and a hard place, because there is only so much that we can do until this board really gets a grip of itself, or we take our club back. But in modern football, how do we do that?
These are those comments. A fair one here says, "I'm okay. I'm annoyed. I'd see through it if we were skint, but there's money to spend, and that is probably the most galling part about it. For the last few years, it's been building up with the profits have been coming in. The club has been bragging at every AGM, every time they've got to release their finances, basically advertising it to the world, big neon sign above the stadium, essentially. That's what it feels like, saying we are rich. Of course, that does mean that, when you do go and approach clubs, they're going to ask for more money because they know that you've got it. You've been making it very, very public, essentially. You've got the money there. But when you start to hear these stories coming out, David, about they wanted 5 million. So Celtic went in with a bid of 3.5 million. To no surprise, the club that they're going in said no to that. These are the things that are infuriating. And it's like, is it that bad to spend an extra £1.5 million? Is that much a problem? Like, we finally got the Balakisha deal over the line. So I believe the Balakisha one is in the region of about £4.5 million. It's around about there that we paid for Balakisha in the end. But earlier in the window, we were hearing the deal was stalling because Antwerp wanted like £5.5 million, maybe closer to £6 million. And it's like, and in the end, we settled for £4.5 million. And it's like, for an extra £1.5 million, we could have got this done months ago. And it really would have been months ago. It could have been right at the start of the transfer window because we've been linked them for the last 2 transfer windows. And that is the most galling part about it when you actually hear these things come out. And you're like, you were haggling over that. That was it. Now, don't get me wrong, I know there's going to be clauses and add-ons and whatnot. Those are all wee finer details are going to get fine. But the actual core money, see, we get stories that they want 5.5 to 6 million for him, and Celtic have, and in the end we settled on a deal for 4.5. It's like, that's what fries my brain as well. So I totally agree with Teresa's comment there, and I don't think you're the only one, Teresa. It's infuriating, David. It really is.
It's the and no, I don't know anyone, and obviously I don't know anyone that has that kind of money, but like anyone that deals with, like, when you're doing, like, you're trying to buy something or haggle for something, like, are you that, like, it's insulting? Yeah, when I go to, if I see anything on eBay or Facebook Marketplace or whatever that I want to buy, and they've got their set value of what they want, of course you're going to try and go in and maybe just see what I can get a wee cheeky offer there. But you try not to insult them because you still want to be able to try and purchase this thing that you've seen that you want to buy. So you might go in with a little cheeky offer and they go, "Nah, I was looking for more around the 100 mark." So you're not going to go, "Well, I'll give you 20 for it." You know, like, "I'll give you 20 and I'll pick it up tonight." Like, they're going to go, "Nah, mate, I'm looking for near 100. I'll be willing to maybe do 80. Right, well, you take 25. Like, you wouldn't do that. And by the time that you go, "All right, fine, all right, tell you what, right, I'll give you the 80 and I'll pick it up." Like, "Nah, I've sold it to somebody else, mate." Sorry,
Celtic are that guy on the show Pawn Stars that have to get the last word in negotiations with Rick Harrison. They've got to feel like they've got the final word. They've got the win in this one. But even if it's like just like a fiver they can squeeze out of them, it's like, "Oh, would you do it for this?" You know, it's just like they have to do it. That's what it feels like to me. They have to be.
Imagine.
Honestly.
Because you imagine being on the opposite board. In fact, no, just now, what I'll say the board are very good at is selling players. They're very good at selling players.
Very good at that. Yeah.
So why do they feel that Swans aren't going to come in, and it didn't come in yesterday and say, we'll give you 2 million for Adam Ida. They would have laughed about the building. Swans would have been like, "You paid 9 million for him. He scored 20 odd goals. We know he's not on form, right? But we really want the player, so we're willing to give you 6 plus £1 million in add-ons." How does that sound? All right, that's fair. And we're sitting there going, "Wow, fair play to the board for doing that." So why do they feel that they can go to a reasonably decent German club or a Dutch club or wherever, and go to a player that they go, "Right, how much are you valuing your player at?" "Well, we're looking for about 6 million because, he scored a few goals for us this season. He's got a couple of assists, European pedigree." "All right, 1 point. How does 1.2 sound?" "Well, it sounds shite. We want 6. "Right, fair enough. Right. Okay, what about 1.5? You just they've laughed out the door. Yep. And now they finally went, and the optics look worse, Phil, right? Because you just have to look. Now, this is the board that like to look over their shoulder and tell us how shite Rangers are and we've got nothing to worry about. Listen, you can moan about us as much as you want. We're still better than them. Looking over the shoulder, we're still better than them. Well, right now you look over the shoulder, regardless of their form or where they are in the league and who their manager is. They've just spent £8 million on a player today, on a striker. They went and signed a player that I've been screaming for us to sign since he left Aberdeen. And they went, and how we didn't even think to hijack that deal is beyond me. Now, he didn't score yesterday. However, he looked a threat, I felt. He's a good player, Miowski. He's going to score plenty of goals for them.
Yeah,
they've went, and we've been trying to find a replacement for Kyogo since January. They've managed to sign Miowski, sell Igeman, sell Dessers, and managed to sign an £8 million striker. Now his stats look shite, given. Yep. It might work out well for him up here for Rangers. The optics are they've spent 8 million today, and we're sitting there still trying to. We're losing players to Charlton on loan.
Yeah.
On loan.
Yep.
It's incredible. So don't tell me to look over there and say, but they're still listen, we're still better than them. Don't worry about it. But not look over there and go, well, fuck me, they've spent nearly 30, 40 million this window. We've not spent fuck all. You can't have it both ways. Don't tell me to look over there and not worry about it, and then look over there and go, it doesn't matter that they've strengthened. Regardless of what you think about their players and the form that they're in right now, they get a half decent manager in there.
That's the thing right now.
That's the worry.
If they were to pull the trigger and realise that the manager is not working, I mean, we can all see it. Rangers fans can all see that. But obviously their new owners are playing the whole, we back our man and we're behind the project essentially, and that's working out well for us right now. But even at that Guff Rangers team and Rangers, we could register a decent shot against them yesterday. It was embarrassing in that sense that we couldn't even muster up anything. But that is part of the infuriating stuff from our side. Is it's all well and good, the domestic bliss, the domestic dominance, but we keep saying it, like, the next step is to try and become competitive. Brendan Rodgers literally said this when he came back in 2023. And again, most of us all were like, I mean, he must have got assurances that things have changed from 2019. He must have. And when he's saying all that, and, the first year back, the Champions League group, obviously it was in the old format, didn't go particularly well, obviously, with the Feyenoord, Lazio, and Atletico Madrid, wasn't it? It was that group. Obviously, Atletico Madrid pulled our pants down in Madrid 6-0. Lazio beat us home and away and whatnot. But we got the win against Feyenoord, and we also got a credible draw against Atletico. The home game against Atletico was actually a really good performance. But you're like, okay, well, it's a new format next year. Let's see how it goes. And obviously, last year, we gave a good account of ourselves. We got through to the knockout stages. We gave Bayern a bit of a fright. Because, I mean, realistically, are Celtic ever going to win the Champions League? No, in this current the current world of football, no chance. What the best we can achieve is to get into those sort of like the second round and whatnot, and maybe take like a scalp. Maybe at best, if you get a fortunate draw, maybe you can get to the quarterfinals. Maybe, but again, last season, with Bayern, we were very close to taking them right to extra time in the Allianz Arena till a very, very late equaliser. And I've said this so many times in recent shows, but I'm going to say it again. I just can't imagine that those that run the club wouldn't look at that and be encouraged and go, right, we are not too far away from being able to beat a Bayern Munich or a Chelsea or a Barcelona, at this stage of the competition. We're not too far away. We gave it a good. So if we get it right in the summer, we can be back here again next year, and maybe we can do it. And it was such an easy layup, David. It was literally like a tap in, playing golf, whatever, and the ball's landed right next to the hole. All you got to do is just tap it in. That's it. And they've just the way that they've just decided to manage this window, with the letting Kuhn go, and not bringing in any suitable replacement. The amount of goals and assists we've lost from him, regardless of what you may think about the second half of the season for Nicholas Kuhn last season. Obviously, there's an argument that maybe sort of his head wasn't really in it as much anymore, but still, that was a lot of numbers he put up in the first half of the season. We've lost that to not even do that, and then to go into the Champions League qualifiers, because it wasn't guaranteed to go in the Champions League. Have they got arrogant with the fact that we're seeded anyway through the Champions route? We'll be fine. We've got enough there. Oh, we've got a team for Kazakhstan. Oh, we'll beat them. No problem at all. I don't think we've registered any half-decent chances against them over 2 legs of football. So yeah, I'm absolutely baffled at that. And the thing is, they can go on about, well, as long as we're better than Rangers and we're always winning the league, the whole point of winning the league is to get a shot to go into the Champions League. That's the prize. And it's like, well, if you're not going to make a fist of it, if you've got a squad that can compete at that level, at a half-decent level consistently year on year, then the league takes care of itself. But right now, we've put ourselves in a position where we've blown the Champions League qualification. We're in the Europa League. That's just the way it's going to be. We'll just need to try and give it our best go. We'll see how that ends up. And the league right now, even though, yes, Rangers are 6 points behind us and whatnot, but the way our squad is right now, it's a few injuries kick in certain positions, and we are in big trouble. And the way the team's playing right now under the manager, again, there's no guarantees that we're going to go on in a massive run here. We have to have a hell of a turnaround in the next 2 weeks for when we come back and play Kilmarnock. You'd like to hope that the team have had a reset and they find something, but right now all the signs are sort of pointing to it's probably going to be more of the same when that Kelly game rolls around in 2 weeks' time.
Well, yeah, this is what we were saying earlier in the show, and I think me and Terry touched on it the other day, is that it's not just the players that I feel is the problem right now. I feel like the whole system just isn't working right now. I said on my Terry the other day that I don't think any striker would be scoring goals for us in this setup right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know if if he gets any more signings in, does he look at the system and change it? Because it just doesn't work right now. We went three games in a row where we didn't score a single goal. Like when is the last time that's happened? 3 games in a row we haven't scored a goal. And we're not talking like world beaters here. We're talking about a Rangers side that were literally had faced like 120 goals since the start of the season, and the Kazakhstani team that there was like the Kazakhstani Livingston we played. I don't like. It was mind-boggling. Now, usually I'm not too, normally when you see teams like that set up against us, it's a bit, I still feel confident we'll score goals because we play against like that all the time. But
yeah,
Rodgers looks like he's completely ran out of ideas.
Yeah.
And so then does it need to be looked at that the whole system to be go like this? The 4-3-3 just isn't working. I know to be.
Well,
and the whole midfield, the midfield doesn't feel right. Like,
the balance in the midfield feels off. I said it to Terry yesterday. The 3 that started yesterday at times last season, I felt were the worst 3 you could pick. There was something off about when Engels, Hatate, and McGregor played together. There was just something off about it. I felt like they always play too close to each other. I feel like you can't really spread the play. And one of the biggest problems yesterday as well, and a lot of fans, were saying it online, and I saw it in our live chat, and some people have said on the comments after the video yesterday that Callum McGregor needs to be questioned with the way he's playing at the moment. I mean, fair enough, he always shows for the ball, but it's no good when he makes all that, makes all the effort to make himself available for a pass from, say, Carter Vickers, to literally then pass it back to Carter Vickers or pass it to Scales or just pass it out wide. And it's like, you should be looking to drive the team forward. There was a caption or a tweet during the Kairat game, the away leg there, and it was a screen grab with McGregor on the ball, just heading up towards the centre circle. And then it's like 10, 15 yards of empty space in front of Callum McGregor. What do you think happened next? And of course, it was probably passed it backways or passed it sideways. And I think I said this on Twitter today, and this is a depressing thing. You mentioned it earlier on. A year ago today, we beat Rangers 3-0 in the first meeting, the first Glasgow derby of last season, right? One of the last good performance we've had against them, sad reality. And he scored an absolute worldie that day from outside the area, and that was his 3rd goal of the season in 4 league games, and all of them had came from outside the box. And that was just a year ago. That was literally just 12 months ago. And now it feels like he won't even venture beyond the halfway line. Like, that's the way it feels in McGregor right now. And it's like, what has changed so dramatic? It's still the same manager. And he's always been about possession play. So what has happened to a year ago? I was so encouraged to see McGregor pinging in shots from outside the area, because one of my biggest infuriating things with Celtic and as with Brendan in the first season back there was too many passes, try to walk into the net, and McGregor's one of the worst culprits. But at the start of last season, it was like he'd been told, no, just go for it. If it opens up for you, have a shot. And I was so encouraged by that. But here we are a year later, and it's back to what we saw the year before, where it's all about safe play. And I was like, what has happened here with Callum McGregor? And that is one, because he's obviously the club captain. So, and this, it always feels like the club captain's undroppable. But literally, say a year ago, he was asking McGregor to, shoot on sight, and they say they were flying in for him. The one at Hibs that he scored and the one against Rangers fantastic. But yeah, at this stage last season, he'd already scored 3 goals. And I think last season, did he not finish in double figures? Was there not a stat where Hatate, Engels, and McGregor all had 10 plus goals last season? And but yeah, McGregor got off to a flyer. But yeah, here we are 12 months later, and he is just turned into Mr. Back Pass, Mr. Sideways 5-yard pass. That's all he's doing, and it's slowing down our play massively. So I think serious questions have to be asked of that one. How do you solve that problem? And I think the captain's armband is part of the problem, where it's like, well, he's a captain. How does Brendan get around dropping him? But hey, that's what the manager's paid to do. He's paid to make the decisions. It's up to him. If he can't see that the way McGregor's playing, then that is a huge problem, David.
We've got a weird fascination about not dropping captains at this club. Big clubs see them dropping their captains all the time. John McGinn got hooked at 60 minutes against Crystal Palace last night when they were getting thumped 3-0. There's plenty of captains that when they're not on form, they don't get picked. Like, they shouldn't be undroppable because they wear an armband. You can be a captain from the dressing room, the bench, just bring in the whole mentality and training. If you're, I mean, obviously, I wouldn't want to see McGregor dropped, but I think you were talking about the eye test yesterday about Kasper Schmeichel. We can get onto that in a bit. I think the eye test right now is failing miserably for Callum McGregor. Everything else that he brings to the club, the mentality, the standards, everything that he does well is still there, but except his playing ability right now. And I think there's just a bit of lack of confidence. I wonder, Callum McGregor's not an idiot. He's seen the decline of the players around him, and I'm beginning to wonder if he's beginning to just lose all confidence in not only the team but in his own abilities, and it's beginning to affect his game. He's getting no help around him.
Yeah,
Callum McGregor's so used to putting out everybody else's fires that this time he's not managing to put out his own. With some of the awful style of play, the decision making, the quality, the touches, he's trying to put out all these other fires and forgetting about his own, and it's now affecting. I mean, Callum McGregor makes everything tick, and if he's not ticking, and that's what's unfortunate about this whole thing is if he's not ticking, then nobody picks up the buck for him. Not like Arne Engels, we keep saying like this has to be the game where he really, makes a stamp on it. And when McGregor's not performing, then he should try and be that guy that goes, then they were captain, I've got your back today.
Yeah.
But that's not what's happening. I don't
So
know,
David,
like it's funny because I was just going to say, like, the last time that we really put in a great performance against Rangers, especially and won that midfield battle, we had a certain Bernardo playing that game, and he was like a man possessed because he knew that Arne Engels had come in and was coming to take his place, and Arne Engels did come on off the bench in that game once the game had pretty much been won, but that was the last time we won a midfield battle against Rangers.
Aye.
And it's strange that was the last good game that he played for us as well, and he was dropped. He was dropped like a bad, he was just discarded because the shiny new toy and Arne Engels had come in, and obviously we had to play him because of the price tag. I don't think Arne Engels isn't the only person that suffered from this price tag going over him. Bernardo has as well, and I think we've all just kind of convinced ourselves that Bernardo's a shite player. I'm not saying he was a great player, but he showed a lot of real qualities that he did have in one of the biggest games in our fixture list, and then he was dropped, and that was the last time we've ever seen him. I mean, that would kill any player's confidence, I imagine. Like, I've literally played the best game of my career.
Oh, he was brilliant that day.
I was
Yeah,
the
he was
best
really
midfielder
good.
on the pitch
Yep.
that day, yet I have been the one that's been dropped. That would kill anyone's confidence. So, I mean, it doesn't look like he's
Well, there
going
was a
anywhere.
few rumours about Bernardo maybe leaving this window. That's obviously not materialised. But then again, there are some other leagues that have got their transfer window open for a few more days or a couple of weeks or whatever. So there might still be movement there. But it is really strange how he has been just sort of like discarded. You're right. That game against Rangers this time last year, was fantastic. He was excellent that day. And he had a wee sort of run. I think if I remember right, he played pretty consistently or featured at least in coming off the bench for the next like month or so. But then that Dortmund game happened, and well, everybody was off that night. But he had a particularly bad game. Then after that, he was kind of sort of used a bit more sparingly. And then he got injured around about February, didn't he? And he was out for a couple of months. And I remember when he came back and he was on the bench again. There was the rotten game we had against St. Johnston, where we get beat up at McDermott Park, and it's like, well, Bernardo's on the bench, midfield's not working today, nothing's happening. Why is Bernardo not coming on? I think Luke McCown got on before him. Bernardo didn't even go on that day. Then there was a game, I think the week after that, we were winning quite comfortably at home. I want to say against somebody like Dundee United. We were winning pretty comfortably anyway. And it's like, well, surely, get some minutes in Bernardo's legs. And he never got on. And yeah, it was only at the end of the season after Hatate got crocked at Aberdeen that Bernardo had to come in and play the last sort of 2 games. And he's pretty much invisible. I mean, the cup final was just an abysmal performance for everybody. But yeah, Bernardo had not really had much game time and was sort of put in there for that cup final. And yeah, he just looked miles off it. And yeah, so far he's came on as a sub for 15 minutes against, I think it was Falkirk. I think he started against Livingston last week. But yeah, it's quite mad, given how much we chased him as well to try and get him. I mean, you and I doing transfer shows on the Boise bus a year ago, David. How many times did we do the Tuesday ticket? And it was like, right, an update on Bernardo. What's the latest update on Bernardo this week? Because it dragged on and on. So we pushed it, and we even haggled to get the price brought down because we wanted to bring it in. Yeah, it just feels like he's a bit of a bust nowadays. And has he had a chance? You're talking earlier on about, players, what saw about him, what he's going on to do now, or it seems like he's going to do. And did he really get a chance at Celtic? Bernardo could be another one of the ones if he does leave, if he goes something in the next few days to, like, say, a Turkish team or something, because their window's still open. In a couple of years' time, we'll be looking back on that and going, what could have been? What could have been with Bernardo? But I'm still waiting for some kind of announcement. Now, I did see a lot of people in the chat are now going on about Iheanacho, because apparently Seville have confirmed that he's had his contract rescinded, as they said so he's now a free agent, so he can be signed at any time. But I guess our comment come up earlier on that Sky apparently have mentioned Iheanacho's name linked with us tonight. But again, I've only got it on the telly, but I've not got the volume up, so I don't know if they have said anything.
Same. Well, I'm looking at. It's funny because like Kelechi Iheanacho's one of these guys. Like his name gets brought up every transfer window since because Brendan, I think was it Brendan that signed him to Leicester. I can't remember if he did it or he's obviously we know he worked with Brendan at Leicester. He's a player that I wanted 5 years ago. He's 28 now, so he's still he's still a young player in terms of like probably right in his prime, I guess. But it's not worked out for him in La Liga at all. I'm looking at his stats and everything. Obviously, this guy's won. He's won the Premier League. He's won the FA Cup. He's won the Championship. He has, I wouldn't be surprised he won the EFL Cup with Man City as well.
He probably did. They won it quite a lot under Pep.
When you look at his pedigree, it should be a great signing, but so many people aren't obviously happy with it. I don't know. I mean, when you look at his stats, so he's had 196 Premier League appearances and he's scored 42 goals in the Premier League. He's scored 6 goals in 38 Championship appearances, 18 goals in 25 FA Cup appearances, 10 goals in 24 EFL Cup appearances, 3 in the Europa League, 3 out of 11 appearances, 1 goal in 8 in the Conference League, 2 and 7 in the Champions League. He scored 3 goals in 2 appearances in the Copa del Rey, and he had scored 0 goals in 9 appearances in La Liga. So obviously, it's not worked out for him there. Hence the contract being ripped up, I guess. Let's say it's a player that I would have maybe been excited about even maybe 4 years ago. Like I said,
once upon a time, he scored against us. You said he's got 2 Champions League goals. One of them's against us.
He was at Man City, wasn't he? Was it Man
One
City,
each draw at the Etihad. Yep, he scored.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being honest, I'd take him, but I would take anyone right now. But this might be, and it's scraping the barrel here. I'm clutching at straws here, but this might be the Scotty Sinclair situation where a guy that's he's still relatively young and maybe you could say he's right in the peak of his career, and he's fell by the wayside a wee bit, and he needs this is the kind of move that would maybe ignite and give him one last sort of roll at the dice to win more trophies, show that he's still a good player. He's a Nigerian international, all that yada yada yada. Decent pedigree there. So I'm not going to turn my nose up at too much. But again, the optics very much screams desperation. It's a player right out the Brendan Rodgers contact list, alongside obviously the Jamie Vardy rumours and the Kasper Schmeichels of this world. There was talks about us trying to sign him before he moved to Middlesbrough. They chose Middlesbrough over Celtic, just like this boy's Fofana's chosen Charlton over Celtic. And that's something I'd like to want. I want to know why he was even Balakwisha. There was rumours that he had to be convinced to sign. So I want to know what's going on as well, Phil. That the clubs, that the players that we are being strongly linked with are either choosing not to come or having to be convinced it's the right move. Because I mean, yes, green tinted specs. You'd think players of these sort of level, if you will, should be jumping at the chance to play for Celtic, a club like Celtic. So what is it that they're seeing from a professional standpoint, not just a footballing fan point of view, but from a professional's point of view, is why has Celtic suddenly become an unattractive or a place that players have to be convinced to come? Because the likes of Matt O'Reilly didn't take much to convince him, but Balakwisha had to be convinced.
Yeah, the Balakwisha stuff, there's, again, the way it rumbled on and the amount of different reports that came out over the course of however long it was, especially this summer, it felt like every couple of days there was a new report about he's off to France now and the Celtic deal's dead. And then there was one that came up a few times. Like, I don't know if it was just maybe lost in translation, because I believe it was a Belgium-based journalist that was quite prominent in reporting this, saying that the player is waiting on Celtic Champions League qualification, which I think I was on with Conor and Pam, and I was like, who is this guy? I was like, this guy plays for Royal Antwerp, demanding that Celtic get Champions League before he signs. But then, of course, when he actually did sign, we didn't have Champions League football guaranteed. We were still in the middle of playing this. We were about to play the second leg against Kairat, so there's no guarantee. So in the end, he was going to sign regardless of the Champions League. So the reports that come out about what convincing they need and whatnot, it's hard to know what to believe anymore. It really is. But that is an interesting one to see, bringing that one up. See, there has been some things that came out over the summer, but yeah, I'd like to know as well, what is it that they need to know and whatnot. I mean, I get it that the teams that are going to play week in week out here, I get it, playing teams like Kilmarnock, kind of St Mirren and stuff like that, it may not be that appealing, but Celtic have always got that opportunity to get you into the Champions League, because it's more likely not that we're going to win the title every season, because we're always going to be competing with pretty much one other team. So we've always got that option there, and players have shown, or the club has shown, the last however many years it's been now that we've kind of been in this player trading model, that some of our players can go on to some big things, guys like, they can look at Celtic as an attractive prospect. Now, ideally, we would like it that they see Celtic as an end game, that they see Celtic as their final destination, or at least to get a good 4 or 5 years out of them, rather than I'll go up there for a year, 2 years, play well, and then I'll get a move to England. But let's say it can be used as a thing to tempt them. And again, what you do is, when you do sell these players on for a big profit, you take a chunk of that profit that you've made and you reinvest it at a higher caliber player. But instead, they keep going back to, we'll go right back to square one, to the 1 million, 2 million area, and we'll try and do it again to turn them into a 20 million player, which, doesn't seem like, to me, it's like, no, well, if you've bought a 1 or a 2 million player and sold them for that, then the next step down is you go back, say, maybe look at a 10 million player. Dolberg was exactly the profile of the type of player we should have been looking at. Obviously, that's not going to happen now. It looks like he is going to sign for us. I see somebody in the chat earlier on say that the Dutch window closes tomorrow, so that can still rumble on until tomorrow for them. But for us, it's only open for 3 more minutes, so it's definitely not happening now for us. So he's either going to Ajax or he's staying at Anderlecht. But that is the type of player we should be looking at every summer. Whenever the summer window comes along, we should be hearing about links to players of that caliber, that pedigree. But again, it just doesn't seem to happen at all, David. And yeah, that's what we find it now with 3 minutes to go. Say they're still looking at Sky Sports News. Usually after the Scottish window closes, they'll probably cross over to Gordon Duncan or somebody like that who'll be outside Celtic Park and will give us some kind of update because the Scottish window have been closed. While we're doing that, let's see some comments. I found one. Hey, Fallon Partridge says we'll win the treble this season. To be fair, I still think we'll win the league title, but I think doubles and trebles. Do you know, a lot of people are saying this is the COVID season written all over it. I don't think it'll be as bad as that, but the season that's coming to my mind is Ronnie Dyler's second season, which, if you remember, was drab. The football was drab. The players didn't seem to be buying into it anymore, and it was very much bare minimum. We won the league that season. We got knocked out in the League Cup, the semi-finals. We lost in the Scottish Cup semi-final. We had a pretty underwhelming performance in the Europa League, but we still won the title, although we kind of limped to it. But we got there in the end. I feel like that's what's ahead for us this season, where it might be a bare minimum season. And obviously, there is an argument for, well, the main prize is always the league. That is the one. But it goes back to what I said earlier. Yeah, the prize for winning that is to get a shot to win the Champions League. But if you're not going to take it seriously and actually try, then what is the point? But I don't know if we'll win the treble. I'd love to think we do, and I'd love to even win a double this season, Fallon Partridge. But I think league title is the bare minimum we're coming with this season, which is the one that we all want to win. But it would be nice to get something else there. But I have a feeling it's going to be a tough watch at times this season with the way things are going. Unless, to say, we come back for this Kilmarnock game and Brendan Rodgers has had an epiphany. The players have all suddenly bought into a new tactic. Brendan's decided we're going to shake it up. I'm going to change the formation. I'm going to change my style, everything. I don't know. I doubt that's going to happen. But yeah, we do need some kind of reinvigoration between now and that Kelly game, and we need to come roaring back and really, find an identity. I think that's the best way to put it, David. This team doesn't really have an identity right now. When you look at a lot of teams around the world, and you can sort of describe them in a couple of words about what they're all about. But with Celtic right now, that's the thing. I don't think we have any sort of identity. We're just kind of going, flying by the seat of our pants from game to game and just seeing what happens, just hoping something will stick. But yeah, we'll see how they come back with that one. But an early prediction, David, how do you think? Do you think we'll be okay in the league title race? Do you think there'll be another cup in there? Are you as brave as Fallon Partridge to say treble?
No, I don't think we'll win a treble this year, being honest. Based on the evidence that we're a weaker side than we were last year, and we didn't manage to get it done. So based on that alone, I'm not fully confident. I think we can get a League Cup double, but depends what we want to prioritise this year. Obviously the league, but if we're going to be in this Europa League, I certainly want us to, have a real good
go at
it. So I mean, we've got no excuse when you see that Rangers have managed to do so well in the competition, and we're a lot better than they are, apparently. So I say apparently, you know what I mean? You know, like we should be able to compete in that competition if we're winning league titles over Rangers 9 times out of 10. So yeah,
No,
I
it's,
mean,
it's
I don't
the
think we'll get. I don't see a treble this season. I'd like to see a League Cup double and a good Europa League run. I'd like to win a knockout tie. That'd be nice.
That would be nice, yeah. Because that's the thing about this, the way the new European structure works with the competitions is it runs into January. That Roma game is obviously the big one that a lot of people have got their eyes on. It's like the blockbuster tie that we've got in our fixtures. It's the 6th game out of 8. There's a good chance that if Celtic get this wrong, they could be officially eliminated by the time that game comes along. Because there would be obviously one league table and whatnot. You could get to fixture number 6 and you've still got like 1 or 2 points on the board. And yeah, you could be out. You could be out by that point, even if you were to beat Roma. So it's like you don't want to be going into that one, which is the big fixture. And there's a real flatness to it. It's already there's already a real apathy towards it. But if Celtic have a half decent start in the competition, then maybe some interest will start to build. But yeah, by the time they get to the Roma game, it's a 6th game out of 8, and you don't want to be in a position where we're eliminated already, and it's all just dead rubbers for the last 3 games. So yeah, they need to make it. They need to make a fist of that right now with the squad in the current state it is. Is it going to be? Is it going to be able to do that? I don't know. And by the way, just to be quick bit of news, I just saw the flash up on my screen. Odsonne Edouard has finally found a new club, and it ain't Celtic. He's went to Racing Club Lawns. I just saw it flash up on the screen of Sky Sports News. So we won't be linked with Odsonne Edouard anytime soon. When the January window comes, I wouldn't expect to see his name getting linked with us again. But I just saw he's actually moved on a permanent deal this time for Crystal Palace. It's not another loan. So Odsonne Edouard's finally moved on. So we can put that one to bed, that when the next transfer window comes along, I don't think we'll be getting linked with him anytime soon. And yeah, they still haven't crossed over to Scotland to give us any updates. Usually they would, now that the window's closed, they might go over, but no, nothing's came up. Have Celtic tweeted anything yet, David? Anything? Is there a tweet saying "Don't go to bed yet, Celts? Don't go to bed just yet" with the wee shifty eyes?
The last update that I saw was they'd announced that Stephen Welsh had went to Motherwell on loan. Anthony Joseph,
Cheers.
22 minutes ago, had said that Sevilla have terminated striker Kelechi Iheanacho's contract, that he is in talks to sign for Celtic. Now the 28-year-old is a free agent. He does not need to sign before tonight's deadline. So that's looking like that's going to happen, Phil. The more I've deep dived into these stats I'd read out earlier, that it gets bleaker and bleaker. You know, 5 goals here, 3 goals here.
You don't laugh, you'll cry.
So like, for sake of argument, Phil, let's just say that an actual deal was a given and he signs, okay?
Okay.
Do Celtic do themselves any favours by announcing that he signs tonight, or do they just hold off? And because I think we're all sitting here refreshing our timeline, wanting to see a signing made before the window shuts. Like, what do the optics tell you if they announce him in 3 days' time as a free agent when we know that his contract was terminated?
Well, the first thing the optics will tell me is he can't play in Europe, because we've got to register a European squad once this window's finished. So I think it's tomorrow that's got to be submitted. So if he signs 3 days later, that's even worse, because we're just talking about trying to make a fist of it in the Europa League, and then you bring in him, and then he can't even play. So he would need to be announced like ASAP if it was happening. But I don't know. I don't think they can win either way. If they were to announce him tonight, you know, again, it's just the fact that we're scrambling around and this is where we're at. I don't think there's any way that the club can come out a winner here. I said earlier on, there needs to be some kind of communication come out for the club, but not through Celtic TV. It has to be through one of the mainstream media outlets, has to get a sit-down interview to ask them what exactly happened. But sadly, they won't do that. They wouldn't commit to that. They would do similar to what they did with the COVID stuff when Lawwell sat down and spoke to Jerry McCulloch all through Celtic TV, all very much controlled by the club, to put a narrative out there. But I would love to, you know, for somebody from Sky or something to be able to sit down with them and ask them what what was the logic here? What was the plan? Was there even a plan? Just to give us these things, but we won't know. And say with the AGM comes in November, regardless of any shareholders who do go there with the best intentions to try and put them, hold them to, put them under pressure, and question them what they were thinking in the summer transfer window. It won't. They'll probably just get removed. They'll just get removed from it. I think somebody said earlier on in the chat that they've been at these AGMs before and it's policed and whatnot. And yeah, if you're not a happy clapper, then essentially you're asked to leave. And also, I'm pretty sure as well, when their finances come out, you'll always get a fluff piece attached to the finances from the chairman, Peter Lawwell, and he'll talk about the positives of the last year, and that'll be interesting. Or we managed to retain the services of key players like Daizen Maeda and Cameron Carter-Vickers. And they're the types of things that they'll throw in there to try and tell you that, we did have a good window in the end. There wasn't any concrete rumours of Daizen Maeda leaving. There was always a bit of speculation from fans saying after the season he's had, you've got to think that he'll leave. There was a brief mention of maybe Brentford looking at him that never materialised anything. Carter-Vickers, obviously his injury record has, I think, stopped a lot of teams from looking at him. But these are the type of things that they'll throw in there into those wee fluff pieces that they attach to the finances when they come out, talk about what the great profits that we've made, and we managed to retain the services of this player and this player to try and make you think, we did do well there. We did have a good window, David. It's still going to work this time. I think it's definitely the sort of, this is the last time. I think there's going to be a lot of vitriol, and it's totally deserved for them. Totally deserved, because again, I can't say it enough. Just 6 months ago, we gave Bayern a real fright. And now look at the state of our team. Bayern would put about 7 or 8 past us. If we played them right now, they would annihilate us. We actually gave them a wee bit of run for their money. And I just cannot believe that those that run the club did not look at that and just think, just with a few smart investments in the window, we can achieve this again. And maybe next time we can beat a team at that level. And instead they have completely mismanaged it, and now we're talking about, hey, maybe Kelechi Iheanacho will sign on a free transfer, but hey, it could be after the window because he's a free transfer, so what's to worry about? That's where we're at now, David. That is where we're at.
And the worry for me, Phil, is because he's a free transfer, what kind of wages is he going to command when this boy's been playing Premier League football at Man City, and obviously it didn't work out at Seville, but I imagine he was on pretty good wages. I think he'll always been on pretty good wages. He'll be commanding like one of our top higher earner, wage packets and probably bonuses if his agent can get it done. And that's just like, and if he, fingers crossed, he turns out to get his career back on track with us if he signs. But if he doesn't, then fuck me, man, that's a lot of money on an absolute did.
Yep. And again, just getting fitness. Fitness is a thing as well. How long is it going to be till? I mean, look at Jemai Simpson-Pusey. We've not seen him yet. Yeah. And Brendan said, this first month is all about getting him up to some kind of fitness. He's not trained. What's the deal with Iheanacho if he signs? We were talking about Jamie Vardy a few weeks ago. And Jamie Vardy, I mean, he's been training with, amateur teams to keep himself fit over the summer. So it was like, if he'd signed, how many weeks would he have taken to get up to speed? Could be the same with Iheanacho, and it's right now we need something right away. We need a spark right off the back here. So we've put ourselves in this position, and it's going to be a bit of a slog now through to January. And yeah, interestingly enough, there's still nothing on Celtic's Twitter feed about the boy from Hammarby. Nothing at all. Not a thing came through. So did that even make it? We don't even know at this stage. So Sky Sports aren't really helping much because they're not giving us any updates. I've not seen. They keep going back to Liverpool. And I was like, we get it. You signed Alexander Isak. We get it. We understand. You missed out on Gahey on the last day of the window. Fantastic. How many times are they going to keep telling us? But I suppose, should we be surprised about Sky Sports and how they treat Scottish football? At times we shouldn't be shocked.
I don't know what the rules are for us, but so they explained on Sky Sports again about so long as paperwork has been signed by players in both clubs, between for the English league anyway, it was between 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock. So long as these were done, they're given 2 hours after the window shuts to complete deals.
Right. Okay.
But they have to have been done within that window. So I don't know if it's a case of, and for us, so long as they're signed between 8 and 10 or something, or I don't know, like 9 and 11, so long as those signatures are done, that Celtic have got another 2 hours to get deals over the line after the window closes. I don't know if it's the same for us. I imagine it must be, because it's all to do with obviously like somebody agrees at the very last minute, but they're not able to get them over to complete the deal before the window closes. So they're given that 2 hour window to get it done. So maybe
there's a message from John saying Daniel Christopherson, who I'm assuming must be a journalist of some kind, has tweeted that all the paperwork for Tunekti is done and will be announced tonight or tomorrow. So yeah, and another question, Ian White, can anyone explain what Paul Tisdale's getting paid for? I wish to God I knew. I really do.
Let's talk about that. Like, what is this guy? So he when he came in, Celtic were sending out, it was all over social media, all the statements and the emails are all sent out to fans that this guy is now coming and he's now going to take over that role. And I've yet to have heard his name since.
Yeah,
I don't. I'd like to see some sort of evidence that he's actually done anything to merit the wage packet that he'll be on. Like, it's beggar's belief that this guy, we're talking about Michael Nicholson should be losing his job tomorrow. In fact, they should all be losing their job tomorrow. This guy has got to be at the top of the list as well.
I agree. Yep.
This is the equivalent of signing your star striker and he doesn't score a single goal. Almost like the guy that we're about to sign tonight for free.
Yeah, it's I'm miffed as to what he's done so far. This was his big summer window, his first one as the official head of recruitment, chief scout, whatever it is. Or in fact, James McCauley, he's a football doctor. That's his official title, football doctor. But yeah, he ironically he's making me sick. Imagine that, a doctor, but make me know well with how he's performed. But this was his first big transfer window. And it's just been so underwhelming in terms of what we've done here. It just feels like we've taken away such key assets of the first team, and while the number of players that have came in, there's quite a significant number. You can't look at any of them and go, "Oh, that was a definite first teamer." It's more we've just got rid of a lot of. We've got key first teamers have left, and a bunch of the deadwood has left. And a lot of the new players that have came in have just kind of took the place of the deadwood, where you're looking at it and going, they're not guys that are going to walk into the first team. Reegan and Tierney, yeah, okay, they've featured, and for the most part, I think there's been a lot of like just the last few games, the way they've went. So I remember the first couple of games of the season, everyone was so delighted to see Kieran Tierney back and talk about the great balls he's putting in the box against St Mirren. And it was about him and Alistair Johnson going forward in the first couple of games. And that's a key problem. Losing Alistair Johnson is a problem because that first few games this season, the attacking fullbacks looked great. But the balls that Kieran Tierney's put in the St Mirren game in particular, the takeaway from that, David, was the balls he's put in. See if we had just a competent striker, and of course it was Adam Ida was playing, a great striker would eat them up. But now suddenly a lot of fans have said, "Oh, Tierney, it's an absolute waste. Oh, he's rubbish and whatnot." Tierney will be fine. He's still building up to get his fitness up to full 90 minutes. Remember, there was a player a few years ago, Tom Rogic. Remember him, obviously, and he couldn't play a full 90 minutes at times, and fans were gutted when he left. Fans, and even when he was a year later, when he was out of contract again after going to West Brom and it didn't work out, there was fans still clamouring for him to come back, saying, "Oh, bring Tom Rogic back." And it's like, I bet he couldn't play like a 90 minutes previously. He probably can't play it now. So Tierney will get to the point where he'll be up to be able to play 90 minutes. But this idea that Tierney's a bust, I'm not buying it at all. Reegan, there's been moments there. Definitely play him out in the wing. I think we've learned that enough already. That it's probably the wing is not for him. He's just not got the pace for it. He's very much a guy for the middle of the park. But ultimately, that's the only two you can look at that have featured consistently in the starting 11. The optics of it aren't good. Say most of the bodies that have come in have just replaced the dead wood that left David. That's essentially what it now looks like. Yamada, Osmond, these types of guys coming in well, we've lost key first team players back in January, losing Kyogo, losing Kuhn this summer. And yeah, we're just that's even like even Adamida to a degree as well, because Adamida did become a first team striker. And yeah, we're now in a position where I say Kelechi Iheanacho might be it on a free transfer, and that might not even be announced for a few days. So yeah, that's where we're at now, David. And it's just a case of we have to just. This is a team that we have to get behind from now until the next window, when we'll do it all again. But it's a January window next time. And as we know from history, David, the January window is notoriously hard to sign players. As the Celtic board once put a statement out about many years ago. And yeah, we've got all this fun to do again in 6 months' time. Beggars belief, mate. Beggars belief.
Got a wee $4.99 super sticker here.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you for that.
I'm not going to try and say that, but I'll just make an arse of it. But thank you very much. There was a question asked about that Iheanacho must feel really good about being the 10th name on the list, if he was even on the list. I mean, what I would say to that was, I'm pretty sure he was higher up on the list last year, and he chose Middlesbrough over us. So,
what was it? Sloppy seconds? What would this even be? What would this even count as? We thought it was sloppy seconds. This is even further down than that. I can't even think of what that would be called. But yeah, it's where we are, David, at the moment, and I guess we'll just need to wait and see. We'll wake up tomorrow and see if anything's been announced in the early hours. Because say if something was getting done before the window closed, then they've got a wee 2 hour leeway or something like that. But yeah, this is where we're at the moment, and we just need to say if fans need to make their voices heard. No doubt about it. I think the next game against Kilmarnock, if the Celtic board think, we've not got a home game now, that Hibs game, we should be fine. Don't think so, man. I think there's going to be stuff said that. And to be fair, fans might go down to the stadium over the next few days. You might have incidents of that. Perhaps we'll wait and see. I don't know if it will be at that level, but definitely the next game against Kelly in 2 weeks' time, I think the away support in particular will make their voices heard. And I think after that, I think it's a whole run of away games we've got. I think it's Kelly, Partick Thistle in the Cup, and then it's Red Star Belgrade, and then Hibs at home after that. Terry's coming over for that game. So Terry said to me yesterday, he said if he was there and he was going to make the board, he's going to tell them what he thinks. He says he'll just get drunk and go round to the front and abuse them as they walk in. So I'll be looking out for Terry doing that at the Hibs game. I'll be looking out for him there.
Just calm down.
Any viewers that go to the Hibs game, make sure you go round to the front entrance before the game and look out for Terry. Exactly. Calm down.
Phil, we can finally do it. We can finally do it. Go on. Where is it? Where's that badge?
No breaking way. News. No chance. Are you telling me at this time there's actually some breaking news?
We have breaking news. Celtic Football Club is delighted to announce the signing of Tunisian winger Sebastian Tunekti on a 5-year deal subject to international clearance. Welcome to Celtic, Sebastian. So we
did it. We actually were on for an hour and 48 minutes and something happened. I said at the start of the show, I went, deja vu, David, nothing's going to happen. But here we go. We're about to wrap up. I was literally about to say, well, we probably should head off now because nothing's happening. But we've done it in an hour and 48 minutes. Something's actually happened. And it's something we already expected because we heard about it about 6 hours ago that it was going to happen. But there you go.
Well, we've got 351 people watching us live.
The numbers have been insane. I've been keeping an eye on it all night.
We thank everyone that's joined us tonight, and just it's like been a nice little therapy session for us all. So while you're here, if you like what we do, if you've liked what you've watched tonight, we'll be doing it all over again in January on Deadline Day.
Yes,
so make sure you like and subscribe so you know, because you wouldn't know about a Deadline Day unless you subscribe to the Boys on the Bus, obviously. So make sure you do that because you don't want to miss Celtic disappointing you for the second time.
Come on, Lawwell. Get subscribed to the channel. We'll remind you when Deadline Day's coming up. Come on, hit the bell notification, Nicholson, and you'll be aware when it's coming. Yeah.
I know.
Honestly, what a night. But yeah, finally something happened. At least something of substance happened before we wrapped up there. But yes, thank you to everyone that's tuned in tonight. We knew it was going to be a slog. But for the third year in a row, we've came on, we've just decided to face it. And we've done it. We've got through another one. We'll do it all again in January, I'm sure. And we're off ski now. It is an international break, but I'm sure we'll still be able to churn out some shows here and there because this is going to rumble on for the next few days. The fallout from this probably longer than a few days. So there will be. Thank you very much, Tony Henderson. Thanks a lot, my man. We appreciate that. And this will continue to rumble on. This isn't going away, Celtic board. You know, if you think that we're going to keep quiet about the way this has been managed, then yeah, you're sorely mistaken. So there will still be content coming out from this channel, and I'm sure every other Celtic channel as well. Because yeah, I think we're all of a similar mindset. I feel in the Celtic YouTube community how we're feeling this summer. There's been many similar things. Yes, exactly. So yeah, me and David are off now to probably top ourselves after that. But yeah, there are summer Winter Club's going to end. And yes, we shall see you on the next one, guys, whenever that'll be. So remember, like, subscribe, share, slag the hair. As Terry says, show as you care. I quite like that one. So yeah,
pretend that you care.
Pretend that you care. Exactly. We'll catch you later, guys. It's been fun, and we will see you on the next one. Cheers, guys.